What it do, homies? It's your boy Dave, and I'm back today. We're going to try some stuff a little bit different here. Thanks to the band Sabaton, I've been wanting to learn a whole lot about history of all types of forms, not necessarily just war. And while Sabaton has given me the war history, now I'm interested in exploring all kinds of history, okay? Now, this is from Simple History, as you can see here on the screen, and it looks like we're checking out 15 improvised weapons inmates built in prison, which is crazy, right? Because in prison, you got nothing but time, but I know there'd be some really, really creative minds. I'm super excited and scared to see what kind of weapons we have here, but let's go ahead and shut up and turn it up.
Magellan TV. We at the Simple History team think that now is a great moment to showcase 15 of the deadliest prison weapons in recent history, which is what our newest video is all about. Magellan TV's new documentary, The Big Boss, covers Paul LaRue, the programmer who became a flagrant drug lord and weapons trafficker who ruled...
Is this an ad? Oh, it is an ad. Okay, my bad. Here we go.
Magellan TV now.
You know, I love the work that they put into their animations.
Improvised weapons inmates built in prison. Any prison show watcher will tell you that inmates can get very creative when it comes to life on the inside. Prisoners use many tactics to survive, including brewing their own moonshine, forming unlikely friendships, and of course, creating weapons, either for protection or for their own murderous agendas. There are plenty of weird and creative weapons made by prisoners across the world. Let's take a look at the top 15 craziest prison weapons you won't believe really exist. Number 1, the Shiv.
Okay, we know those exist.
Let's start with the most obvious and prominent prison weapon, the Shiv, or shank. Shivs are makeshift knives created from everyday materials that many inmates carry to protect themselves from their fellow prisoners. The features of a shiv generally change from prisoner to prisoner, with many different items used in innovative ways to create these deadly weapons. In the 1950s,
no, bro, not them looking like they had a sword fight, right? On God.
British criminal Billy Hill offered an account of how he used his shiv. I was always careful to draw my knife down on the face, never across or upwards, always down, so that if the knife slips, you don't cut an artery. After all, shivving is shivving, but cutting an artery is usually murder. Only mugs do murder. The most common shivs are made from sharpened comb handles, shards of glass wrapped in cloth, or a razor blade tied to the end of a toothbrush. But if, for whatever reason, prisoners can't exploit these designs, they get creative. In Wolfenbüttel prison, Germany, around 1994, a shiv was discovered inside a hollowed-out cross owned by a religious inmate. His intentions, it seemed, were far from saintly.
Yeah, honestly, man. That's the thing about the correction officers. I mean, you pulling out a cross, I would not have thought that's actually a really, really good hiding spot. I would not have thought to just,
Also worth noting is the bizarre circumstance surrounding the Hard Sweets Jolly Ranchers. These American candies are now banned from multiple prison commissaries after it was discovered that inmates had melted down the sweets and reshaped them with a cold, jagged tip that could very effectively stab someone.
Hard candy.
Number 2, boiling water, sugar, and chocolate. This harmful process is commonly known as jugging or the sugar bomb. If you combine boiling water with sugar, it creates what prisoners call napalm. Named after the real gelatin substance, the prison-style mixture...
Wait. It creates napalm?
If you combine boiling water with sugar, it creates what prisoners call napalm.
Prisoners.
Named after the real gelatin substance, the prison-style mixture forms a paste that clumps and clings to the victim's skin, burning them horribly. One recent use of this popular prison weapon occurred in 2016, when inmate Paul McManus poured the mixture over fellow inmate Robert Wallace's head. The victim was reported to have shouted, "I can't see," dizzy as the mixture burned him. Another similar method of jugging involved melting down chocolate bars and throwing the boiling chocolate over other prisoners, which, like boiling water and sugar, hardened and stuck to them as it burned. Number 3. Chili bomb.
Be thinking about this, man. I mean, how can you go through? You get such murderous intents that you just what?
In the UK, the fear of sugar bombs has now been taken over by the fear of chili bombs in prisons. Inmates would buy chili from the prison canteen and crush it in hot water or vinegar before spraying it in the eyes of the victims. The effect is like being pepper sprayed and, in extreme situations, can result in blindness. Number 4. Homemade bomb. Around Halloween 1995, an Illinois prison inmate named Peter Saunders went as far as to mail a homemade detonation device to Judge Blanche Manning after becoming enraged that she had dismissed a civil lawsuit against prison officials. Saunders created the explosive device by rigging a hollowed-out book using a battery, electrical wires, and a marker pen packed with sulfur from ground-up matches. The bomb almost made it onto the judge's desk before it was discovered. Somehow, it had managed to pass through several security checks, including a prison X-ray machine, before being finally noticed in a second X-ray machine in the building where the judge resided. Saunders' public defender claimed that the package wouldn't have caused any damage if it had ignited and was just a cry for attention.
I guarantee you they definitely upped their security after it made it through that first pass. It made it all the way to the building.
Number 5.
That's insane.
When you open a tin of something, you usually end up with a jagged edge lid, which can be so sharp, they're often used to cut food in prison kitchens, as the inmates aren't permitted to use knives. Of course, these are often stolen and smuggled into the prisoners' cells, as they make for handy little weapons that can slice quite deeply in a fight. Number 6. The Millwall brick. The Millwall brick was named after the violent fans of Millwall Football Club. In the 1960s and 70s, UK football games were rife with hooligans and notorious for the extreme fights that broke out between the team's two opposing fan bases. Things eventually got so bad that anything remotely resembling a weapon was confiscated before fans could enter the pitch grounds. So the more enterprising footy hooligans created a weapon that became a favorite of prisoners in the UK, the Millwall brick. The Millwall brick is a simple, common weapon made with just newspaper, which is easily accessible to all prisoners. They would tightly roll the paper before wetting it under their cell sink. This would be repeated until you had a hard, solid knot of paper that had as much whack to it as a wooden club. Number 7, the homemade shotgun.
Okay, now we got guns. Okay. Newspaper.
Peter Strudinger really didn't like life in prison. So much so, he attempted to escape twice using deadly weapons that were created from your common everyday items. Notably, during his first escape attempt in 1984 in Celle, Germany, Strudinger and an accomplice escaped using a shotgun made from the iron in their bedposts, pieces of lead from curtain tape, batteries, a broken light bulb, and the heads of matches.
This is kind of reminded me of Fallout. If you guys ever played that game, right, where you go in and you have those pipe weapons that are just made from things laying around. They're bad, but they can inflict damage and stuff. That's what that is. This is a Fallout weapon.
Despite his ingenious efforts, however, Strudinger was recaptured a day later in Bremen. Number 8, zip guns. Homemade shotguns aren't the only guns found in prisons. Homemade zip guns and other small pistols are popular creations of inmates. Most of these zip guns are created using electrical wires, a nail, rubber bands, and matchstick heads with small bits of hoarded lead being used for bullets. A lot of them look nothing like the guns we know. They're small and are kept in separate pieces, only being assembled when needed. Number 9, nunchucks. In 2011, intrepid prisoner Lorenzo Pollard escaped St. Louis workhouse using nunchucks he'd made from a length of bedsheet and 2 chair legs. Unbelievably, Pollard kept over a dozen guards at bay by swinging the weapon wildly until he smashed a window using one of the chair legs, scaled 2 razor wire fences, and ran off into the sunset. Until a few hours later, when he was picked up and returned to his jail cell.
This man channeled his inner Bruce Lee and killed nunchucks. What? I guess I'm sitting there thinking, well, I mean, honestly, if somebody's got some nunchucks, he had 2 wooden chairs, right? Some things gotta hurt. I'm sitting here thinking about if I was to go, like if I saw somebody, yeah, I probably would hesitate of running in, but I don't know. Maybe he's like, oh, just kind of like take one for the team. Maybe, I don't know. But oh my goodness, he had 12 of them. Not a single correction officer was brave enough to just kind of just charge at him, like, you know, overwhelm him with numbers. That's crazy. They probably were just overwhelmed by the sheer shock of this dude just wielding. I wonder if he actually knew how to use it.
Number 10, anime weapons. Another case from 2011. This time, in a prison in Monmouthshire, Wales, guards were astonished to find a whole host of replica anime weapons created by an inventive prisoner with a particular fondness for the Final Fantasy series.
Oh.
The anime-loving inmate had painstakingly used hundreds of toothpicks to create at least 6 of these weapons. Although they were discovered before they were used, the prison's governor, Steve Cross, said they presented a genuine threat, as they had been sharpened to points that could cause serious injury. Number 11, coffee creamer.
This man had, not only did he have the Buster sword there, like a little miniature, but he even had the materia in the he even crafted the materia in there. Well, you gotta appreciate his craftsmanship, man. What was he in jail for?
Creamer is now banned from a lot of prison commissaries
after
after one too many inmates discovered another use for it as part of a flamethrower. It turns out that a lot of powdered coffee creamers contain animal fat, which can be lit on fire and channeled through a bit of tube to create a flamethrower effect. One assistant warden of a Texas prison once said the inmates would roll up a piece of paper, place some coffee made in it, put a cigarette lighter in front of it, blow it out, and it's just like a flamethrower.
That's insane.
Prisoners could also toss a handful in the air before whipping out their lighter to create a fireball effect that could easily scorch someone passing by. Number 12, dental floss.
Fireballs.
Dental floss is yet another item that a lot of prison commissaries have banned, as well as being used in many escape attempts. Due to its tensile strength, it can also make an effective weapon to choke out another prisoner or guard, or used as the hand grip on a shank.
I wouldn't necessarily call that creative, or well, I guess it could be improvised.
Number 13,
improv.
a knuckle duster. This one is considered particularly
These
creative.
names, y'all.
Around 1993, a guard in a German prison uncovered a dangerous homemade rasp knuckle duster in an inmate's cell. The inmate had stolen the rasp tool from the prison's machine workshop and, using material ripped from their bed as padding, arched the rasp in such a way that it formed an effective knuckle duster. Being on the receiving end of a punch made from it could, no doubt, do some serious damage. Number 14, gardening glove. Even gardening gloves can be used to form dangerous weapons.
How?
Because secretly modified gloves look just like the ordinary ones, prisoners could carry them around without drawing much attention to themselves. Prisoners would sew one glove inside the other, but would line the inside glove with tacks or any other small, sharp-pointed object. The spiked lining would then easily penetrate the top layer, seriously hurting anyone on the receiving end of a punch or blow. Number 15, toothbrush crossbow. Last but not least, we have the toothbrush crossbow.
Okay.
The toothbrush crossbow is one of the most inventive and complicated prison-made weapons in history. Created in 1998, it so impressed the prison guards that found it that they later put it on display in Canada's Penitentiary Museum, where it can still be viewed today.
I want to see that.
A prisoner at Stony Mountain Institute, Canada, was stuck in solitary confinement when he came up with a creative and deadly use use of his
Toothbrush
time, using a
crossbow.
small list of everyday items, including 10 toothbrushes, a lighter, part of a ballpoint pen, a small piece of wire, some cafeteria tongs, yellow gloves, assorted electrical wires, a Kleenex, and a few screws. He managed to fashion what was effectively a fully functional crossbow.
What?
He created bolts for it using aluminum foil, tightly rolled paper, and Q-tips. Although the prisoner never got a chance to use his new creation, the prison guard that confiscated it had a go at the impressive weapon and reported that it could fire up to 40 feet. Imagine the chaos that would cause in the prison yard.
40. Yo, that's a... Bro, I swear, if they threw the Wilhelm scream in there, I would have died. Yo, that's actually kind of insane. I don't understand. I mean, I would think that, man, like I said, you got nothing but time, but I mean, I feel like you would definitely need some pre-knowledge of how these things work, unless you can kind of just figure it out, right? I mean, man, I'm just sitting there thinking just the amount of, I get it. I mean, you go to prison. Of course, nobody wants to be in prison. I like to think that, but to hate it that much that you just start formulating all these these weapons and everything like that. I'm probably going to check it off camera. I definitely need to check out and see what that toothbrush crossbow looks like in real life. So, cause that's that 40 feet. That's crazy. Anyways, that's the end of this video. If you enjoyed the content, leave a like and subscribe. Dave's out.